Hey guys, sorry for the technical difficulties if you were watching before, but just to remind you, I'm Tausifas Ali, lead IELTS instructor from Remote IELTS. Today we're running on to yet another technical difficulty regarding the video and the screen sharing process. For some reason, we're unable to pair the both, and therefore it has to be either one or the other. So I've chosen to share the screen instead of showing my video, which I think is more relatable with you guys. So let's look at our topic today. In the previous class, we discussed the true, false, and not given. But in today's class, we're going to be discussing. Hello, Shogun Islam. How are you? Thank you for your comment. So in today's class, we're going to be conducting the writing task two. And out of many question types that you get in task two, we are going to be doing the opinion-based essays. Now, the task two of the writing section is the same for both general and academic ones. I've divided I've divided this class into various sections because it's going to be too long for me to cover the entire writing task two in one single class. So I'm going to be breaking it down into three different classes. I'll obviously let you guys know through our social media page about when these classes are going to be, of course, so that most of you can benefit from it. But let's get onto it straight away today. Okay. So as you can see, out of the various different kinds of questions that you get in writing task two today, we're going to be doing the opinion-based essay. So typically, an essay consists of an introductory paragraph. Then we have the main body, and obviously then there's the conclusion section as well. In opinion-based essays, since we're just going to stick to one opinion, this means that this is going to be a 3-paragraph essay. Now remember, there might be certain questions that actually makes you want to have two different opinions. Like you can either fully agree or fully disagree, but if you want two opinions, then you disagree up to an extent and then you agree up to an extent. In those kind of situations, you need to increase your paragraphs to 4 or 5 paragraphs. But today we're only going to be looking at the opinion-based essays. So we're just going to stick to the 3-paragraph. So this is the topic that we are going to discuss today. I'll let you guys have a look at it for a few seconds before I continue on to the introduction. Yeah, shout out to my semester 1 students from my university. If you guys are watching, this will help you in your midterm examinations as well. The task 2 that I'm about to do here is very similar to the IELTS task 2. This will help you guys a lot if you're watching this, so please stay tuned. Okay, so the topic today is more and more people want to own items such as cars, clothing, and other things that are made by famous brands. The question is, do you think this is a positive or a negative development? In this kind of situations, many people might say that is somewhat positive and somewhat negative, but it would be my recommendation that you either stick to one of these two extremes. I know and understand that it can be quite tempting for you to be, uh, you know, not neither agreeing or disagreeing fully with any of these extremes, but in order for you to do something like that, you're going to have to create an extra paragraph where you discuss your second opinion. And remember, if you are providing an opinion, you must provide the reasons behind why you have that opinion, and at the same time also provide examples. So if you have two opinions, you're giving two reasons and two examples, which unnecessarily increases your essay size, and at the same time, it makes it more complicated. There are many people who would want to do that, but it would be my recommendation that you either stick to one of these extremes. Now, something that I have realized, having to sit for this examination so many times myself, is that people often, uh, when they go for the exam, they just go straight for it. Like they don't read the topic carefully, and they just start writing because they think that they have limited time. And they're right up to an extent, because there is a limited amount of time that you get. So if you spent about 20 minutes on task one, then you only have the 40 minutes to complete this 250 words essay that you are not going to cross. Now, regardless of the time limit, I would recommend that you spend about 5 to 10 minutes thinking about this topic. I cannot tell you how many times I have come across people who scored really, really low in the writing section. And one of the main reasons being is that they've gone off topic, or they've misunderstood the topic, and therefore have written in different lines than what the examiner was hoping for. So in order to avoid that, we need to understand the topic, read it a bunch of times, to make sure what exactly they're talking about. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So more and more people want to own items. So they're talking about material things such as cars, clothing, and other things that are branded. Obviously, many people, almost all the people really, have the necessity for things such as cars and clothing. So what happens often is that they opt for famous brands and stuff, and it makes it more expensive for them because they associate themselves with that strong brand image. So that is what the topic is all about. So for the purpose of this essay, we are going to be choosing one side. Um, like we've discussed before, there can be scenarios where you would want to choose two different opinions, but remember, nobody really cares about nobody really cares about your opinion in this context anyway. I'm not talking about in real life, I'm just talking about the IELTS exam. As long as you're able to use the English language proficiently to express your opinion, there's no problem in which side you choose. So always remember that, like, therefore it's best to just choose one, since you can be highly efficient if it's just the one opinion. So, for the sake of this topic, I'm just going to go ahead and choose that it is a negative development rather than a positive one. Once again, you might think that it's a positive development, and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Right. So, today we're only going to be looking at the introduction part. Um, since we only have a limited time to offer, so I'm not going to be able to discuss the main body and the conclusion, but I'll definitely be doing that in the upcoming classes. I'll let you guys know through social media or whatever on when the next class is going to be. So, in the introduction part, you often hear people say that the examiner is looking for all of the information within the introduction, that whatever you want to say and whatever your opinion is, you have to express it in the introduction part. And I totally agree with this. I think that this is definitely the case. Now, if you go online and look for structures and or ways to structure the IELTS writing task two part, you'll often come across something very familiar to what I have proposed here. So the introduction should be composed of three separate statements, and these are must-have statements within the introduction the introduction part. So let's have a look at it. The first sentence that we have to write in the introduction is the paraphrasing of the general statement. Now, I've had many students ask me this question: that what is paraphrase? So ideally, paraphrasing is a technique that we use to change a sentence whilst retaining the original meaning of it. Ideally, what this means is that we have to change the sentence structures through synonyms and changing objects and subjects and so on and so forth, but we still retain the meaning of the sentence. The general statement here is the question itself. So ideally, what we are doing here, as the first sentence of the essay, is paraphrasing the question itself. So once we've done that, the next thing that we need to do is provide our opinion with clear and as clearly and as precisely as possible. Once you have expressed your opinion, the last thing that we have to do is we have to end this paragraph with a sentence that actually links this paragraph to the next paragraph. This will be massively accounted for in the coherence and cohesion section of the marking criteria. I've obviously left a Google Drive link to this file in the comment section, and most of you guys are more than welcome to have a look at it. So, when it comes to actually okay, Shovan Islam, sorry, I missed your comment altogether. If you think it's a positive development, it's absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with that. I, however, feel that it is a negative development. So we're just going to be progressing this essay through this opinion rather than your one. However, there is nothing wrong with you thinking that it is a positive development, and you can totally develop your essay accordingly. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. So what was the actual question? Let's go back a couple of steps and look at the actual question. All right, so here was the actual question. Is that more and more people want to own items such as cars, clothing, and other things that are made by famous brands. So I've changed this sentence. It still holds the same meaning, but I've changed the structure around a bit. I used a couple of synonyms to make it different. However, it still retains the meaning. So this is the sentence that I have used. It says, every day, more people are drawn towards materialistic things such as cars and clothing, among other things, which are products of famous brands. This sentence is structured very differently from the one that we had just seen. However, if you think about it, it still means exactly the same thing. All right. Many of you may use other paraphrasing techniques to write this sentence, and there is nothing wrong with that. This is just the way that I have done it. I'm sure there are 20 or 30 different other possibilities for this particular sentence to be written in a different way whilst still retaining the meaning of it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's what's going on here. I hope it's something that you understand. It can be quite confusing at first, but if you keep on practicing the paraphrasing situations, I'm sure you'll get better. I think one of the best ways to do it is to go through various different writing task 2 topics and then just changing it around a bit, playing around with it so that you naturally able to learn how to paraphrase. However, there are several techniques that you can use, and perhaps these techniques can be taught at a later class. I'll be sure to conduct a class like that where I teach you guys how to paraphrase sentences. Let's go back a step and understand the second thing that we have to do. The second thing is perhaps the most crucial thing that you have to write here on the introduction section. So it is providing your opinion. Remember, what you write here will most likely dictate the kind of marks that you're going to get altogether in this module. Because I'm pretty sure of it, that in the introduction part, you have to express your opinion and you have to, basically just answer the question that has been asked. So that has to be present within the introduction section. So, like I said, I know Chauvin Islam thinks it's a positive development. There's nothing wrong with that. But for the purpose of this class, I have chosen it as a negative development, and this is something that I have written as my opinion. So I've written, as great as it feels for someone to associate themselves with strong brand equity, I think this situation is more inclined towards negative development than positive ones. This is mainly due to overspending on things that can be purchased at a lower price and accumulating debts on credit cards while trying to do so. So I think I've made my point pretty clear. I've also stated a couple of reasons behind my opinion. Now, some people say that this is absolutely necessary to do so, whilst others think that it's okay to be writing the reasons in the main body. But for some reason, I thought that this would be a good idea to have it included in the opinion section of the opinion part of the introduction section. Now, the reason why I have chosen that this is a negative development is mainly because I think that buying branded products is a waste of money, sort of. It's just my opinion. I know people feel differently. So that's one of the main reasons why I think that it's overpriced. Um, People could spend twice as less money on the same product that has a different brand identity. Perhaps the other brand does not have as much recognition as the branded one that everyone craves. So people often overspend a lot more than they should. And at the same time, I've seen many people from my own personal experiences where they max out their credit cards, you know, to buy something that has a strong brand value, a strong brand identity. The reason why they do that is because they like to associate themselves with a strong brand equity. And this leaves people in a lot of trouble. They are paying for a product that they purchased today for the next 3 years or so, but within this time, this person might have thought that it's cool to get another product that is branded, so accumulating more debt onto the credit card. I'm sure you guys must have heard very similar stories about uh, accumulating debts because they had purchased, various, branded stuff like maybe clothes or perfumes or things like that. So that's why I feel I feel like it's a negative development. However, there might be several arguments made against it as well. So it's not about who's right and who's wrong. This is about like different people have different perspectives, and therefore different people will have different opinions. All right. So to recap, I'm just gonna go back one more time. So this was the paraphrasing sentence. It says, every day, more people are drawn towards materialistic things such as cars and clothing, among other things, which are products of famous brands. And then the next sentence was, or sentences, let's say, as great as it feels for someone to associate themselves with strong brand equity, I think the situation is more inclined towards negative development than positive ones. This is mainly due to overspending on things that can be purchased at a lower price and accumulating debts on credit cards while trying to do so. Now, remember, the last sentence was a paragraph ending sentence, so it could just be as simple as further details are provided below, or a detailed description is discussed in the next paragraph, or so on and so forth. So these are the kind of sentences that actually encourages the reader to have a smooth transition from the introductory to the main body. And I think these kind of sentences actually contributes a lot towards the coherence and cohesion section of the marking criteria, one of the most controversial marking criteria, since people often tend to misunderstand this part. So that's it, really. Let's have a look at the introduction put together one more time. So this was the structure that I had adopted from various other structures that are floating around on the internet. So this is something that I have made sort of like a hybrid of various other structures that's out there. one that I think is the most ideal, the one that helped me the most when I was going through my IELTS exam. So here's the structure again. Paraphrase the general statement, providing your opinion, and then the paragraph ending statement. And the next up, we have the actual paraphrase. And remember, don't go ahead and write paraphrase the general statement on top. That I've written that for your understanding in the actual essay. Please don't do that, okay? So the general statement is the same as this one. It means the same thing. I know it's structured differently, and that's the whole idea of it. And then my opinion, very clear cut. My opinion is that it's a negative development because people overspend and accumulate debt. And more of this discussion to come on the main body. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it really for today's live session.